What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and as you've no doubt surmised by the name of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit, it's probably going to be a bit of a longer video anyway, but I'm going to start it off before I actually list off what it is, because you've already seen it in the title and that's probably why you clicked in here. But I'm going to set up what gave me this thought process and what gave me, just the general vibe over the last few days to actually get into this mindset to start making this video and the thoughts on it. So, a few days ago, I was on the Final Fantasy XIV official forum, and I was looking through one of the threads that was on there. It was asking about, I'm not going to go into massive detail about it, but it was asking about some train tracks that were in one of the areas, and people were asking about a possible Doom train reference. There's a lot of, obviously it's Final Fantasy, so a lot of stuff is reused. I don't want to say reused, but it's carried over from the mythos, if you will. But on I think it might have been like page 2 or page 3, someone had posted an image, and that image was from Final Fantasy VI, where they're on the Phantom train. Now, I looked at this image and I thought, I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember. Now, granted, even though Final Fantasy VI is tied between Final Fantasy 4 and 6, which is actually my favorite. I still have not played Final Fantasy 6 any time recently. Like, I mean, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago maybe was the last time I played it. So it has been a while. But I do remember, it's like, wait a minute, it didn't look like this. What is this? Is this fan art or something like this? So I took to a quick Google. Well, not so much Google, but I image searched the image, and it turns out that it was from the iOS port of Final Fantasy VI. So I was like, wait a minute. They redone and rechanged a lot of this crap and gave it this horrible looking art style. In my opinion, of course. I was like, wait a minute, this is weird. So I looked around a bit more. And yes, I found tons of people that had, I say tons, but I mean borderline maybe 1,000 off the top of my head. Or not off the top of my head, but I mean, there were literally, and yes, I use the word literally properly because so many people don't, but there were literally almost 1,000, if not more than 1,000 people, from a quick Google search that had exception with these images now, or the redrawn art style, or the reimagined art style, whatever you want to call it. And it sparked in my head instantly. It's like, wait a minute, they did this with Secret of Mana as well. Now, I remember Secret of Mana launched, I think it was last year on Android. I know it launched like 2 or 3 years ago on iOS. I remember hearing about it going to be released on iOS, and since Secret of Mana is my favorite game ever, because I have no Apple devices and I had no way of playing it on that, I never even looked for anything to do with it at once. So until it actually released on Android, I didn't know that the graphics were changed. So I downloaded it on my phone, booted it up. It's like, wait a minute, what is this horrible art style? This is wrong. It gets rid of everything that I feel used to be there, and it's got that horrible soft, blurry looking thing. I mean, it's like you can't tell where one object stops and the other begins, because I won't even say the anti-aliasing, but it's just all the texture edges are just so soft that it not only does it have this horrible cartoony look, but it just looks like one static image. It doesn't look like actual items or sprites or anything. Now, they're probably not, based on what's been changed and all, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't appeal to me at all. So that's my main thought process on this. And yes, as you've probably noticed by now, I am going to use Final Fantasy VI and Secret of Mana footage for this video. As you've already seen one of them. You'll be seeing the other now in a minute. But I'm not going to put in direct comparison shots, say, from the phone versions, simply because they're just at such a low resolution. I know you can argue that these games were 16-bit, they're low resolution as well, but the fact is, when looking at them on a higher resolution rendered video, and maybe you're watching them full screen or a big ass screen or whatever, it's going to be stretched out, so it's not going to do it justice. So if you already have them on your phone or your tablet or your whatever, or a quick Google search of the images, you'll actually see them. And you'll see them relative to what they look like. Now, I wonder, why do they do this? It doesn't feel like it's enough of an upgrade. So I mean, well, obviously they can't call it a HD remaster, or just they could even just call it a remaster. And I don't understand why it feels like such a change. I mean, when you compare it to, say, even an older game, maybe a PS2 game or something like that, remastered for PS4 or Xbox One or current gen PC. I mean, the difference between what you're getting in that kind of remaster isn't, as what I feel at least anyway, isn't such as a drastic difference as the previous ones, because it basically takes everything that it has in the case of HD remasters. They take what they have and they reuse the same thing at a higher res, if you will. That's a very basic, vague description of it. But when you look at these phone updates of like old 16-bit games and just whatever they're going to be, it feels like they're just changing. Well, not, it doesn't feel, they are completely changing the art style. I mean, when you look at the Final Fantasy VI port, it's based on 2 separate resolutions, so a lot of the stuff was remade from scratch. A lot of the art assets were remade from scratch. And the real thing that kills me the most about that is not only my nostalgia, my feels about the entire thing. It's like, this game does not look the same. It feels like I'm playing a different game. It arguably makes it look and feel completely more generic and less of what it actually is. It feels less of a Final Fantasy game. It feels less of Secret of Mana, and it just feels more like a generic phone or even DS or maybe 3DS cheap generic role-playing game. Now, it's the thing on top of all of that is Square Enix, or Squaresoft, because of when these games were made. Squaresoft and Square Enix, I suppose, because some of them are still there, but they're so notorious, they're so world renowned and absolutely famous for their extremely high end, top quality, talented artists. I mean, you have people like, you've got Yoshitaka Amano. You have people like, okay, he doesn't, I don't think he works there anymore. I'm pretty sure he's just an advisory role or a contractor role. You've got Akihiko Yoshida. I'll probably butcher these names, Japanese and all. You've got Tetsuya Nomura. You know, okay, maybe he puts a few too many belts on things, but these 3 people have world-class, world-renowned, legendary art. Legendary art styles, legendary art depictions, and of course all that is, they come up with all the concept and the concept art. Obviously maybe not absolutely all of it, but they have the foundations and the main pieces and the bases, and all that is transferred into the game. And when I see when I see something in comparison to the 2 Final Fantasy VI games and the 2 Secret of Mana games, and I feel like it's completely lost in translation. And why would Square Enix, again, this is all my opinion, but why would Square Enix do something like that would basically compromise and just overall downgrade and these legendary artists and their work, just for the sake of, I don't even know what to call it. I can't call it a remaster. I can't call it a HD remaster. Just for what you could barely call a serviceable upgrade. I mean, they look horrible, if you ask me. They don't even look like the same. They almost don't even look like the same games. And because of that, when you do comparisons, like if you do a side by side, a lot of it is lost in translation. It looks like a lot of the new standard crap. I as much as I hate to say it, it looks like a lot of new standard crap, and some of that is all lost. I was gonna go with a Blade Runner quote. It's like, it's all lost, like tears in the rain. But no, it's too late. I've done it now. But I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. And I mean, would I love if, say, Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy VI on Android and iOS, would I love if they had the option to use the old ones? Absolutely. I would use them in a heartbeat. Now, I don't actually have Final Fantasy VI on my phone, but just in theory, the principle is the same. Now, I do have Secret of Mana, but the principle is the same. You know, if the option would be in there, that would be all that matters. Now, given the size of smartphones and tablets memories, it's not really much to ask. The stuff is already there. I mean, it's not like they have to take it out. Well, it's not like they have to rebuild the entire stuff from scratch. They just have to replace all that kind of shit. So I mean, why not just leave both of them there? And instead of having, I don't know, instead of having like a 25 MB download, you've got a 35 MB download. It's a 16-bit game. The cartridges back then, absolutely tiny. The textures and the resolutions, absolutely tiny. And to go with that, the new textures and all, they're not even massive. I mean, I remember reading somewhere that the Secret of Mana textures were still very close, if not exactly the same as the original games. They were just done slightly differently in a different art style, and they had a different finish. Whereas the Final Fantasy VI ones were apparently redone at twice the original resolution, which is still extremely low compared to modern phones and modern tablets. So, I mean, it's not like these games are made with 1024 by 1024 textures, or it's not like they're made in a weird way to have like a 1920 by 1080 skin. I realize that's not how everything works, especially with sprite-based games, but you get my idea. To fit this kind of screen and technology style that we live in, it's not like they're all done really weird that way. So I mean, why not just leave both of them in there? Why even change them at all? That's what I don't understand. It blows me. I mean, if it's a phone game, okay. In essence, nowadays, with the two I'm talking about now, they're phone games. Now, if someone is turning on a phone game, they're not. I don't think many of them would bitch with 16-bit graphics, especially people who are looking to buy these particular games. If you are looking to buy these particular games, chances are 99% sure you already know what the graphics are like, and you're not going to complain about the old ones. How many new adopters are there? Okay, I'm not going to deny that there will be new adopters to it. I mean, yeah, younger people that would have grown up, and maybe their first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy X, maybe their first Final Fantasy was 12, maybe their first Final Fantasy was the 13 series. People like this are maybe wanting to go get into it. They might have a little bit of the beef with the graphics, but at the same time, it's a phone game. What are they expecting? I'm not saying phone games have to have 8-bit, 16-bit graphics. That was obviously two different things, 8-bit and 16-bit graphics. You know, I'm very well aware they're two different things. But they also don't need to have top-of-the-line phone graphics, or even above top-of-the-line phone graphics, which will give you a fucking 5 FPS unstable game. But there are phone games that do that. But anyway, I mean, it's all of that to get rid of the feel, to get rid of the art, the style, the quality, the direction, to get rid of all that for not just an extremely marginal upgrade. I will say upgrade, or just officially, but to do all that just for the marginal upgrade that loses the feel, the view, and almost what the old art style and game represented, that's just fucked up, if you ask me. I don't know why they do it. Square Enix, if you ever hear this, who's in charge of Square Enix now? I think it's Wada, isn't it? Yoichi Wada, or I can't remember who's in charge now. But if anyone from Square Enix ever hears this video, you know, please, even if you do insist on doing it, give us the option to use the old ones. I love Secret of Mana. I love the old Final Fantasy series. I love the Final Fantasy series in general, but I especially love some of the older ones. I mean, my first Final Fantasy game was 7 because I live in Europe, so 7, as far as I know, was the first one released over here. I'm pretty sure it was, but you know, that doesn't change anything. I still like the older ones. I said it earlier in this video. 4 and 6 are joint neck and neck for my favorite Final Fantasy game. Secret of Mana, my favorite game of all time. You know, leave this option in there. It's not going to kill you. Even if you can't swap them on the fly, like Halo Master Chief Collection, that's fine. Let me do it in the main menu before I start the game up. I launched the game on my phone. You know, I hit load or whatever, or maybe there's a toggle switch on the side of the menu screen. That's all I ask. And I feel that a lot of people are in the same boat as me, because a lot of people aren't fans of the entire new situation and the thing you're forcing on us. So that's exactly why I know myself and a lot of other people are going to continue playing my older, what I'm using air quotes here, better copies of the game, because we feel it fits more, and we feel it's more accurate, and it's a more proper depiction of the art and the game and the style of just that the story and the aesthetic is trying to convey. So that's my thoughts on it. I did say this video will be a bit longer, so it is. Let me know in the comment section below your entire opinion on anything related in this video. You know, the graphics changes, if you're for them, if you're against them, if you don't mind them, if you prefer them, if you hate them, whatever. I want to know all of that. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.